August 29th, 2016. Police enter a farmhouse in Sylvan, Australia. The house is unlocked. Inside, they find a scene of total panic. Passports, credit cards, mobile phones, all left behind. There is no sign of a struggle, no blood, no break-in. It looks like the family of 5 who lived here simply ran. But they weren't taken. They were running from something they believed was coming for them. This is the story of the Tromp family and the 5-day road trip that would end in hospitals, handcuffs, and total insanity. Welcome to the web of horrors. Let's unravel the madness. To understand the breakdown, you have to understand how normal they were. Mark and Jacoba Tromp were successful red currant farmers. They had 3 adult children, Riana, Mitchell, and Ella. They were hardworking, grounded, and respected in their community. The Tromp family wasn't just normal, they were industrious. Their farm in Sylvan, Victoria was a well-oiled machine. Mark Tromp was a man who believed in hard work. But in 2016, the finances of the farm were becoming a heavy burden. While they weren't bankrupt, the pressure was mounting. Neighbors described Mark as intense. He was a perfectionist, and crucially, he was the undisputed head of the household. In psychology, for a shared delusion to take hold, you need a primary inducer, a dominant figure who constructs the reality for everyone else. Mark was that figure. Jacoba, his wife, and the 3 children were the secondary inducers. They were an incredibly tight-knit unit. They didn't have many friends outside the family. They worked together, ate together, and lived together. This isolation is key. When you cut yourself off from the outside world, the internal echo chamber gets louder. If the father says, "The bank is spying on us," and there is no neighbor to say, "No, they aren't," that lie becomes the truth. It started slowly. Mark began talking about scammers. Then it became hackers. He became obsessed with online privacy. He told his sons to be careful with their passwords. Riana, the daughter who would later suffer the worst, was particularly vulnerable. She looked up to her father. When he started seeing shadows, she started looking for them too. By late August, the farm had transformed from a business into a bunker. The pressure cooker was sealed. All it needed was one spark to explode. On the morning of August 29th, Mark snapped. He told the kids, "We have to leave, now." But there were rules. No cell phones, no GPS. Mark was convinced that technology was being used to track them. The only one who hesitated was the son, Mitchell. He managed to sneak his phone into his pocket, a lifeline to the outside world. The 5 of them piled into Ella's silver SUV and drove north. No plan, no destination, just running. The first few hours were silent. Mark was driving erratically, taking back roads to avoid pursuers. But the real crack in reality happened 30 kilometers from home. Mark noticed Mitchell's phone. The paranoia in the car exploded. They forced him to throw it out the window. Now, they were completely cut off. Just 5 people in a metal box, reinforcing each other's delusions, driving deeper into the dark. To understand how 5 intelligent adults can lose their minds simultaneously, we have to look at a rare psychiatric syndrome known as Folie à Deux, literally, the madness of 2. It is a condition where a delusion is transmitted from one person to another. It spreads like a virus, but instead of infecting the body, it infects the belief system. The pathology almost always follows a specific pattern. There is a primary inducer, a dominant, influential figure who suffers a genuine psychotic break. In this case, that was Mark. He was the patriarch, the boss, the protector. The others, Jacoba and the children, are the secondary partners. They didn't start with psychosis. They were simply suggestible. Because they loved Mark and trusted him implicitly, they accepted his reality to preserve the family unit. We have seen this before, throughout history. In the 17th century, the Ursuline nuns of Loudun all began convulsing and speaking in tongues because one nun claimed she was possessed. It was mass hysteria, born from isolation. In modern times, we saw it in the Slender Man stabbing, where two young girls convinced each other a fictional monster was real. But the Tromp case is unique because it involved adults. Inside that silver SUV, the family had created a feedback loop. Every time Mark swerved the car, it proved someone was chasing them. Every time they saw a police car, it proved the conspiracy was real. The delusion fed itself, growing stronger with every mile, until logic no longer existed. By Tuesday, the family reached the Jenolan caves. But instead of sanctuary, the panic reached a breaking point. The pressure inside the car was now explosive. Mitchell, the brother, couldn't take it anymore. He separated here, throwing his keys into the bush. He was the first to break free from the shared delusion. The sisters, Riana and Ella, made a desperate decision. They separated from their parents, stole a vehicle they didn't own, and fled south. But the fear followed them. At a Goulburn petrol station, they split up. Ella drove on to Melbourne. But Riana's journey ended in a terrifying mystery. She was found by a local man, hiding in the back of his ute, catatonic. She didn't know her name, she didn't know where she was. The family wasn't just lost geographically, they were lost in their own minds. While Riana was being treated, her mother, Jacobo, was discovered 250 kilometers away in Yass. She was wandering the streets, agitated and separated from Mark. The shared delusion was fracturing, leaving them isolated in their terror. Mark, the father, was the last one running. He was seen in Wangaratta, tailgating a young couple's car, convinced they were in on it. His paranoia had turned into aggression. He abandoned the car near Wangaratta Airport. When police approached, he didn't surrender. He ran. He disappeared into the dense Mariwa Park bushland, vanishing into the night. It took 6 days for the fever to break. Police found Mark on a roadside, tired and confused. Tests revealed no drugs, no cults, no toxins, just a rare, massive case of Folie à Deux, or Folie à Cinq, a shared madness. They returned to the farm. No charges were laid. They went back to their lives, leaving the world to wonder. What exactly did they see that made them run? The official explanation is Folie à Deux, or in this case, Folie à Cinq, a shared psychotic disorder where a delusion is transmitted from one person to another. Usually it starts with a dominant leader, likely the father or mother, and the others, isolated and stressed, succumb to the same hallucination. But the internet remains divided. Police ruled out drugs and toxins, but could it have been agricultural chemicals used on the farm? Or was it simply the crushing weight of hidden financial stress that snapped the family's psyche? This is where I need to hear from you. Do you believe 5 intelligent adults could hallucinate the same stalkers at the same time? Or is there a piece of this puzzle the police missed? Drop your theory in the comments below. I read every single one. The Tromp family survived their journey, but the roadmap of the human mind remains full of terrifying, uncharted territories. Sometimes the scariest ghosts aren't in a haunted house. They are in our own heads. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe to Web of Horrors. I'll see you in the next nightmare. Sleep well.